Hello and welcome to Mint. I'm Sunira Tandon. Today we have with us on the show Charu Sachdev, CEO for TSG International Marketing Private Limited. Charu, you've been in the business of selling luxury brands, international luxury brands for more than about 6 to 7 years now. How has your experience been per se, and what learnings have you gathered over the years?
Well, I think one of the biggest learnings that I've had is I've understood what works and what doesn't work. We've worked with many different brands and different concepts, and finally zeroed in on the concept that is what we're currently doing, which is the multi-brand called Kitsch. And it's quite successful, and our focus clearly is on products and brands that work in the Indian market. Another very important aspect of what we've been learning and experiencing is that we need to learn to be very nimble to keep up with growing expenses on real estate, on people, finding solutions that work really well with the problems that we face and the hindrances that come across in the Indian market.
Absolutely. You have 4 stores at present. How difficult is it to attain profitability in something like a luxury business? That's something all brands are struggling with. Over a span of your sort of stint with luxury, what have you done to make sure that there is enough P&L accountability at the end of the day?
I think that anything that you do in any business is that you would look at your overheads and you would make. Of course, luxury does have certain aspects that you need to kind of cater to, which is experiences and service standards. But from a P&L perspective, you have to look at making sure your turnover increases and your overheads are controlled. Once you start looking at the two, it like any business, it works out quite well.
Absolutely. And is it a long gestation period to that compared to other businesses, or do you think that it's been...
No, I think when we started off looking at this, we looked at it from any business perspective. You start with, what is the gestation period for your return on investment? And we realized that anywhere between 3 to 5 years is the norm in any industry. And so we said, okay, this makes sense. We can do this, and that's how we started up.
Great. You have a multi-brand label right now, stored in fact. And how do you pick and choose the brands for the Indian market? How do you sort of pick up the vibe? Is it consumer feedback that you rely on? Is it something on your own instinct? How do you go about that?
Consumer feedback is very, very important. And, you can only sell what the consumer demands. I can't give them or force feed them with something that is just not going to move. So from product selection down to price point selection is all based on consumer feedback.
Certainly. And over the years, how do you think has the consumer evolved? What difference, is there a significant shift you've seen in the way they want things, or the profile of the consumer that has changed? Anything that you've noticed?
I think what's really interesting is that they are more open to new international brands globally. So if there's a brand that we feel is doing really well internationally, as long as we stay within the boundaries of what the consumer likes in terms of product categories, in terms of price points, they're open to new brands. And I think that's what's changing. So people are looking for something new, the novelty, and uniqueness.
Post opening up of relaxation of FDI norms last September, has there been an interest by the brands that you represent here in India to look at a JV partnership, or they are okay continuing with the marketing and distribution mode of working?
Well, with us, since we are a multi-brand, we don't really discuss these kind of relations with most of the brands. But I don't think India is ready right now for a lot of the brands that we work with, because we work with fashion luxury brands, to come in directly. So right now there's a wait and watch approach. India is very important, and people are looking to India, but I think the hindrances or the hurdles that India presents are still quite difficult for many brands to get through with without a partner, or at least a franchise partner or a joint venture partner. So either or, and preferably franchise is generally the preferred route for most brands.
Absolutely.
So where the risk of entrepreneurship passes on to the franchise partner as opposed to the brand itself.
Have you also seen any shift in the way consumers are consuming categories? Has it shifted from pure accessories to ready-to-wear now? Is that shift sort of slowly and steadily happening, or do you think it's...
Of course, it is. But it's a gradual shift for sure. when we first started up our business, we started with a fashion brand, and everyone said, no, India's only ready for accessory brand. But we've obviously proved everyone wrong. So I guess being pioneers in that respect has helped us in understanding what works, what doesn't work in the fashion world. So people are spending on fashion. People appreciate fashion. And at the same time, a lot of the fashion brands have accessories that complement or are ancillary to the fashion. So it works quite well, and people are kind of appreciating that. And what the multi-brand environment offers the client is they can pick up fashion from one brand and accessory from another brand and put it together, as opposed to buying 100% of one brand. And I think that's the evolution that's taken place in the consumer.
If you were to rectify 2 things or 3 things about the Indian luxury market, what would those be?
I would certainly say that the first few things that I would like to rectify is the duties that we incur on importation of certain product categories, so that we can compete with prices internationally, even though as a company we have a policy of making sure our prices are competitive. It does hurt our gross margins because we keep our prices lower. While in contrast to that, we have very high real estate cost. It's in my opinion, it's extremely inflated because of limitation of spaces available. And this artificial inflation leaves us with 2 choices. One, it hinders growth. We can't open stores as much as we'd like to. And 2, if we do, then it takes a longer period before we can see any return on investment. So, from a business perspective, we have to be very careful where we go and where we don't go.
Absolutely. Any other brands that you're in talks with, anything else which the consumers are asking for, which surprises you all along the way, because you don't expect people to sort of understand a certain brand or a certain region, but you do see demand coming for it from
No, actually, I think we are approached by a lot of brands, and our customers understand and appreciate all of them. As a strategic decision, we choose to introduce 1 or 2 brands per season into the multi-brand format. And it kind of works because, again, there's something fresh, there's something new. Also from a business perspective, it's really important to keep having innovation and in terms of new brands, new product categories, changing in terms of our presentation of product categories, so that we don't reach a dip where the client gets tired, your sales staff gets tired of the same brands and the same products. So introduction of new brands is really important for my business model.
Any other cities you're looking at from the ones that you're present in?
I'm definitely looking at Chennai as a market, so exploring that area. I'm trying to look at Chandigarh and Ludhiana as possible opportunities. There's still little clarity in terms of where we could be present. I'm currently present in Bombay, Pune, in Delhi, in Hyderabad. We would like to see if perhaps Delhi and Bombay can take on more stores as well.
Sure. So are you exploring real estate opportunities, and how much what sort of time frame do you have for these stores? Or
we are exploring real estate possibilities, and again, it's all very organic. So if we come across something interesting, we'll definitely move in that direction.
Absolutely. You also had very strong views back in the session about Asia sort of not fully being able to or capable of being, exploring it, sort of setting up its own luxury brands. Any thoughts on that? Anything you'd like to add to that?
I think in terms of the debate, it was really just that. I mean, a lot of my co-speakers had mentioned very relevant points, which I agree with, but because I was part of a debate, I had to take a side and stick to my point of view. But there's one thing that I do believe in very strongly, is that when I say there's a lack of infrastructure, I'm referring to the business aspect of the brand, of developing a brand. So we may have great artisans, we may have great designers, we may have great products, but we don't have the correct management capabilities that help push, a local brand to become an international brand or international luxury brand.
Certainly. Your personal shopping destinations, where do you shop and what brands do you?
I shop at Kitsch and only Kitsch.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights. Thank you so much for watching. Keep watching for more.